Diablo 4 has received its first big patch, and it's mostly about balancing the 5 starting classes that players can choose to take down Lilith and save Sanctuary with. Blizzard shared the patch notes and some reasoning behind the changes in a blog post, and it shared that the team is mostly happy with where the characters are currently at. However, the team knows there is, quote, always room for improvement. To that end, it has revealed the 3 categories these changes fall into. 1. While we want players to both feel and be truly powerful, some class builds and synergies are outside of our bounds for what is reasonable for the health of the game, so we are reducing their effectiveness. As an example, we generally want to avoid creating situations where players can survive unreasonably high amounts of damage for long periods of time because it too greatly warps our vision for how combat should be in Diablo 4. 2. Some skills and builds are not as effective as we would like, so we're pushing out some buffs to increase their strength. 3. Paragon glyphs are currently providing too much player power, so we're reducing their overall effectiveness. Let's go over the different class changes and highlight what seems to be Blizzard's goals with the class, starting with the Barbarian. The biggest changes with the Barbarian revolve around legendary aspects and items that drastically increase the effectiveness of the Barbarian's Whirlwind ability. Bold Chieftain's Aspect has had its cooldown reduction effectiveness cut in half, and Aspect of the Dire Whirlwind has seen a sizable decrease in its critical strike chance bonuses too. Gore's Devastating Grips was the most heavily nerfed here though, with the unique item seeing its Whirlwind explosion damage gains reduced from 50 to 70% all the way down to 16 to 26%, essentially cutting this item's benefits down by 2/3. This is no doubt to counter the spin to win builds that have cropped up during the beta and since the release this last week. Druid has received a number of buffs and nerfs across the board, and each of these changes, whether buffs or nerfs, are in the range of 10 to 15% effectiveness for various skills, specializations, and aspects. Most of the buffs seem to be focused on the Druid's Storm abilities, while most of the nerfs are directed towards the Druid's Earth skills. As with all of these changes, we recommend trying out the skills that were changed to see if they better suit your playstyle now. Necromancers rejoice, for yours is the only class that received an overwhelming majority of buffs, bonuses, and boosts to their abilities. Bloodlance, Army of the Dead, and Bloodwave skills all saw increases to their damage output, and a number of passive bonuses were boosted as well, with the exception being Grim Harvest, which has seen a reduced essence gain effect. The biggest buffs though went to their minions, with Skeleton Warriors and Golems receiving a baseline attack damage increase of 10%, but Blood Golem life drain damage is increased from 40 to 90%, and Iron Golems have had their slam damage increased from 25% to a whopping 175%. That's a 7 times increase in damage. These changes are drastic, so we recommend any Necromancer jump in and try them out in case you'd already written off your golems over this past weekend. There weren't many changes to the Rogue's abilities, with minor buffs given to Rapid Fire and Caltrops, and minor nerfs given to Dash and Concussive Critical Strike Chance. The biggest changes though went to Twisting Blades, which saw its cooldown reduction bonuses significantly reduced, and Dark Shroud, which now gives half the damage reduction per skill rank than it did pre-patch. If you use these 2 abilities, you may want to consider reallocating your skill points to avoid these nerfs, but the other changes here are relatively minor by comparison. Blizzard seems pretty happy with where sorcerers sit at the moment, as they received only a few moderate changes. Arclash saw its lucky hit chance and cooldown reduction bonuses cut by 40%. Teleport has had its damage reduction duration reduced by 40% as well, and the legendary aspect of Control has had its bonus damage reduced by 5% overall. Arclash sorcerers may want to experiment with their abilities after this patch, but for the most part, sorcerers leave this update pretty unscathed. There were a number of general changes, bug fixes, and Paragon board changes listed in this patch as well, such as Treasure Goblins seeing a significantly reduced spawn rate within PvP zones. So, if you're keen to know the full details of the bug fixes and Paragon changes, check out the full patch notes in the description of this video or on Blizzard's blog post. Blizzard also understands that, quote, class balance is a journey, not a destination. so it's important to note that more balancing changes will obviously be on the way. Blizzard hopes these will make class builds, quote, fun, powerful, and competitive within reason. Let us know if you're happy with these changes, or if they impact the character you are trying to build in the comments below. For more on Diablo 4, check out our Diablo 4 review, our guide on how to start a class build, and our extensive Diablo 4 guide that includes everything you need to save Sanctuary while having a great time doing it. For everything else gaming, keep it here on IGN.